Welcome to Das Boat, Season 2, Dose Boat. Now, in Season 1, we bought a boat on the internet, sight unseen. This is what we got.
This is my boat. I'm selling from neutral. I think we just broke the shifter.
That boat traveled to 5 different fisheries in 3 different states across more than 1,400 miles and somehow,
What was that?
survived the journey. For Season 2, we've got a new old boat. We like to call it Dose Boat, one well stocked with fishing memories. It was owned by my childhood fishing mentor, a feller by the name of John Gary. We're gonna drag this classic craft across the upper Midwest, hand her off to some of our favorite anglers, give her a few upgrades, and take her to places she has and has not been before, and maybe catch a few fish.
Got a muskie.
And like last season, there will probably be some bad ideas along the way.
Oh shit. The trailer's rolled. Wow.
Whoa.
This is Das Boat. All hopped up on fried bluegill, perch, and kettle chips, Das Boat leaps out of Packerland and sails into Viking country, a little reference for you sports fans. Yes, with this episode, we're headed over to Detroit Lakes, Minnesota. So far this season, Das Boat's been chasing after pretty standard sport fish. Lake trout, bass, panfish, muskie. But these lakes and rivers are full of all kinds of other fish. From here on out, we're gonna focus on what some people call rough fish or trash fish, which they ought to rebrand as alternative fish. Our very own conservation director, Ryan Old Cal Callaghan,
This is just like a very cool scene.
recently got us all interested in a fish called the Bigmouth buffalo. And just to set the record straight here, buffalo are not carp. They are not carp, even though some people call them carp. If you're one of those people, you're wrong. Buffalo are a native sucker species. In fact, the biggest sucker in the world. They used to be an important commercial fish, but these days, the only people who target them are bowfishers. Over the past decade in Minnesota, bowfishing has become a big sport, and buffalo are a favorite target. The problem is, we really don't know much about these fish. One thing we do know is that in some places, they haven't consistently reproduced since Franklin Roosevelt was in office. To get more intel on the bigmouth buffalo and try to figure out how to catch one, Cal enlisted the help of our fishing director, Miles Nolte.
I'm here to mess with these fish, but I want them to be around to mess with for a long time.
They traveled to Detroit Lakes, Minnesota, where the world's foremost bigmouth buffalo researcher, Alec Lackmann, just happens to live. Okay, so he's actually the world's only bigmouth buffalo researcher. They're going to try to get their hands on one of these swimming buffalo. But first, you know, the old boat scene.
I think we could use a little more room up in the bow, all the crap that's there.
Horrid mess.
And if someone's gonna stand up there and control the trolling motor and even have a prayer at successfully fishing, I think we're gonna need a little more real estate.
Yeah, well, I think we can run all those wires out, see efficient ways for them to go back in, drill a couple of holes. I have no idea like what we have around us as far as like lumberyard, hardware shop, whatever, but I think we can utilize this rail and have a deck system that just goes over the top of this whole thing.
Okay.
Shouldn't be too hard.
I'm gonna trust you on that, man, because I'm not what they call handy
You're the painter.
in the trade. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
No, I'll just stand here and look pretty while you do the real work.
The guys head over to the local hardware store to stock up on supplies. It's one of those classic Northwood spots with all your necessary stuff. Friendly people, and, of course, ice cream.
All right, we got some hardware. What we still need is a deck. Here's Bob.
Okay, what do you guys got going on out here? This classy rig.
This is a sweet boat.
The main program is we need a casting platform, like a flat deck up there.
Something to cover up here.
Yeah.
Okay.
The budget is really a scavenging budget at this point, not so much like a custom ordering budget.
Well, you know, we haven't made a load to the dump in a while. I got a whole pile of stuff back here. You're welcome to.
We can go pick through it?
Absolutely.
All right.
That's in our range.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
We appreciate it, Bob. Thank you, man.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
This is getting awfully close to one of those reality shows about picking treasures out of other people's trash.
Yeah, what do you think of this? Better than anything else we have. Easy. Let's tote it over there. Yep. Hope for the best. It
This is gonna work.
So close. This is sweet.
I really like that.
Yeah, we'll hang on to that.
That's exactly what we need for a covering. I mean, do you think this is gonna work?
Oh, it'll work, for sure.
Way to go, fellas. Definitely our cheapest upgrade of the season. And I appreciate the fact that old Cal never lets anything go to waste. If you see him, just ask him about his neighbor, who's got a bad habit of throwing stuff in the dumpster, and then Cal picks it all out and tries to find a home for it. Anyways, looks like they got everything they need to build a pretty sweet custom deck, especially that carpet.
That's gonna be like the detail that makes this deck sweet.
Yeah, so all we gotta do is make sure like the tension system, the simple solution for this thing works.
And what do you got for that? What's the plan?
Using 2 ratchet straps between an eye hook on the deck and an eye hook on the bottom deck. A couple bubbles in your carpet, but
I think it looks great.
I'll let it slide. I mean, it's functional, it's not.
It's not pretty.
All right, yeah, easy modification day.
Yeah, man.
Ready to get out of the sun.
Yeah, it's hot. Let's go.
All right.
So Cal and Miles head out to one of the famous Detroit lakes in search of a fish that neither of them have ever caught or even seen before. If I was a betting man, my money would be on the fish, not Cal and Miles, but we'll just have to wait and see. Here's what they do know. Buffalo cruise sharp drop-offs with weed edges during the day and prefer sheltered back bays. They get really old and people like to shoot them with arrows. So buffalo are very wary of boats. Miles decides that their best bet is to cast small subsurface flies at cruising fish and hope for a run of luck.
Problem is, once they sense the boat, they get nervous and they stop. Check them. Oh, there's one right there. Super deep. Super deep. See him?
Like kind of heading out of the country right there?
Yeah, the one that's leaving. Oh, keep coming, keep coming. You saw the boat.
Dipping sauce?
Hey, it's a crappie.
Oh. Oh yeah.
Oh, there he is.
Finally took it a little too deep.
There's the crappie. I don't think it's happening, man.
It's not happening, Miles.
They're smarter than me.
They're older than you.
They're very much older than me. There's that buffalo researcher. He's got some fish like in a holding pen for research, and he's expecting us to come hang out with him. And quite literally the worldwide expert on bigmouth buffalo.
Dr. Buffalo.
Dr. Buffalo.
Alec Lackmann is the researcher who discovered that buffalo can live for over a century and that they haven't been reproducing here for the past 80 years or so. And as you can see from his hat and glasses, he's either a frisbee golf enthusiast or a biologist.
Whoa!
So this is the.
Yeah, orange.
Yeah.
This is a male, like a typical male.
Wow.
These old fish that are over 80 plus years old, born before 1939, and then there's this younger cohort of fish that were hatched late 70s, early 80s. But the older cohort, they make up about 90% of the fish in this watershed. And the old cohort, they're really easy to identify. It's like looking at a bunch of 80-plus-year-old people versus 30 to 40-year-old people.
Buffalo are often mistaken for common carp. I'm going to say this again. Buffalo ain't carp. Carp are invasive and actually might be contributing to the lack of spawning success for native buffalo. Shoot all the carp you want, whenever you want, please. But learn the difference between a carp and a buffalo.
So what makes this super distinguishable from the common carp?
The most striking difference is they do not have barbels on their snout. So they actually have a forward-facing mouth because they feed in the open water on zooplankton. Common carp have a subterminal mouth or a bottom-facing mouth.
But in this population, you were able to, sacrifice a group of fish, and then you look at the common characteristics, the physical characteristics of those fish, and that kind of helps you place fish like these without killing them into age groups.
Yeah, like I said, we've looked at literally hundreds of fish from this watershed, and there's never been a fish that has all this spotting that's not over 80 years old in this watershed. It's just that consistent.
Alec only started studying buffalo in 2019, so there's a lot yet to be learned. He captures fish to better understand population size, individual growth rates, and how much they move around the lakes. Alec's hoping to find a way to help these fish successfully reproduce, but he's worried that time is not on his side.
Save buffalo, shoot a carp?
Yeah, that could be done.
All right. Yeah. Go make more, ideally, somehow.
Alec has been trying to do outreach with the bow fishing community. He invited Cal and Miles to have a couple beers with some of the local bowfishers to talk about what's at stake with the area's buffalo and the important role bowfishers can play in the future of this species.
What all can you shoot out here?
Anything that's classified as a rough fish.
So there's all these native underutilized fish that are lumped together with invasive fish, and they're all called rough fish. Basically, all those can be targeted.
It's great. It's a lot of fun, but
Oh, I mean, there's no doubt it's very fun.
Oh yeah.
it is
so fun.
I mean, we had nights, we basically called it a night early because the boat was getting a little too tippy because we had too many fish in there.
Right.
You know, we kind of always operated under the guise that we were doing a favor to the lake. You know, we were removing carp. You know, that's what we were doing. And
Right.
Well, yeah, and the other thing is buffalo are not a carp.
Exactly.
Like, they're
yeah.
a native sucker. To call them a carp is like saying a human's a lemur. They're that distantly related. Because yeah, many people do think they're going out and doing the lake a favor because they think they're removing these carp, but they're not. They're buffalo.
I mean, when I first started doing it 10 years ago, I mean, there's times where we'd just put the boat in forward and both of us would be out there shooting because it didn't matter where you went, there was just always fish.
Wow.
I mean, on the same exact lake that we did that 10 years ago, we met a couple guys a month or so ago that were out there all night and shot 2 fish and they weren't even buffalo.
Yeah,
they were
and 0
dogfish.
buffalo. This is not something that can just sit idle for another 10 years or whatever.
But there's been, I mean, literally thousands and thousands of fish that have been shot out of these, out of that
And
little
virtually
lake.
zero recruitment as far as we can tell, likely over that period. So we're chipping away at this finite population.
This is like a story that repeats itself over and over and over through history.
Passing a
we
pigeon.
always like to talk about like hunters and fishermen are the greatest conservationists, but we never talk about the fact that we are conservationists because we've totally screwed things up.
I don't care if you're talking about tarpon or ducks or buffalo or whatever, our interests are inherently selfish. I'm here to mess with these fish, but I want them to be around to mess with for a long time. And other people want to mess with these fish in different ways. And if we can come together and recognize our own selfish impulses and collectively put those in toward like keeping shit around, then we all get to win.
So shoot
what
50
happens.
carp to
Shoot 'em.
earn a buffalo.
Yeah.
Like
Now that's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
do something.
Earn a buff.
Earn a buff. Yeah, man.
I like it.
But then at least you're a part of the conversation because once you go past that tipping point, then you're on the outside and people are like, well, see, the bow fishermen screwed all this up
Yeah.
and they just killed them. And now you can't be a part of the conversation because everybody's conveniently pointed the finger at you, whether it's, I mean, obviously there's a lot of other factors in this system, right? If these things were reproducing every year.
Right.
it'd be a totally different conversation. There's other things. There's downstream and upstream factors.
But the problem here is we don't really have much time because like the people who have been out there shooting them for the past decade at night, they've already seen these dramatic declines and just
5 years has made a big difference.
And we could get into a dangerous place where they get below their critical mass where they can't even reproduce properly. Bowfishing is a sport.
Yeah.
They call it sports.
And it keeps growing.
Yeah.
That's
so
the biggest thing.
They deserve the protection that sport fish get.
This is pretty simple. These fish deserve and need evidence-based management. We can't continue to allow unlimited harvest on populations that aren't even reproducing. That math just does not work.
I'm glad I had the opportunity again to harvest the fish of a lifetime, but this is the last bigmouth buffalo that I'll take.
Hopefully this isn't a monument to the fish that are gone.
Exactly.
Hopefully this is a testament to how things have changed and the work that you guys are doing to change it up.
Absolutely.
So, admittedly, that convo was a little of a downer, but that kind of stuff is necessary, man. You got to have those talks. But we're not even going to end the episode on that note anyway, because Cal and Miles are not done. Alec connected them with a buddy of his, Tyler Winter, who has figured out how to catch buffalo consistently on hook and line. Tyler lives over by the Mississippi River where the buffalo seem to be doing a better job of reproducing.
This must be Tyler. See what we got going on, man.
Looking forward to it. How's it going?
Going great. Beautiful day.
What do you think of the whip?
Think this is great.
What's the plan?
I heard you guys wanted to find some buffalo.
Yes.
Yeah, man.
I got a spot.
Sweet.
You want to catch them on a fly?
I want to catch them however we can catch them, to be honest with you.
Yes.
I am not particular.
Well, I do like people who like a challenge.
All right.
Cool.
The guys removed their sweet casting platform to make space for Tyler, but I feel like they're forgetting an important fact. Das boat is not a jet boat. They're about to take a brand new prop out on a river full of boulders and rock bars.
Your job is to make sure we don't smash into anything. Oh boy.
And there goes that new prop. Nice job, guys. That was a sweet motor a minute ago.
How's the prop looking?
Not bad. I've seen worse.
Now it looks like the boat's been run. So street cred.
It was a little too clean. This is a really cool spot, man.
Mm-hmm.
So what are we looking at here? Where are we? What are we doing?
Well, we're on one of my secret places on the Mississippi, looking for some buffalo and some red horse.
What are you gonna use here, Miles?
I'm gonna see if I can get one on flies. Feels like the right move at this point.
Yeah, just be thrashing around, not getting anything done.
Flipping and flopping.
I'm gonna go to the worm.
And then when you catch 10 fish, then maybe I'll come over to the dark side too.
Yep, I like it.
After getting thoroughly rebuffed on the lake, Miles is on a mission. Cal and Tyler set up in a likely-looking run and start catching suckers and carp and bass on worms, but Miles wants that damn buffalo, and he's convinced that his best shot is to spot and stalk one and drift a fly into its face. He creeps up on a buffalo feeding in shallow water, makes a good cast, and breaks it off on the hook set. Dude. He gets on another fish, hooks it, and loses that one too. I'm actually starting to feel sorry for this guy.
I think I've discovered a flaw in my plan for catching these things on flies.
Which is?
Well, I brought trout flies because they eat small stuff, and I'm like, yeah. And I tied this on a particularly stout trout hook. Like this was a high quality hook, and it completely bent out.
It's almost not a hook.
I'm a little concerned that I don't have what I need to get this done. I mean, I might just be bending out flies.
Should we go to the ringer spot where the buffalo eat?
Please.
Okay.
You can show us your magic wand tool for catching them.
Tyler has got a ringer spot, and this is why we came here. Tyler's found one particular back eddy, a beautiful, mysterious little back eddy, I'll add, where buffalo consistently feed. They do laps through here, chowing on bugs and other food trapped on the surface, and this is where things get, well, weird. See, Tyler is the kind of guy who figures things out for himself. Since no one else fishes for these fish, he's come up with a method of catching them that's unique. Tyler uses the fanciest cane pole you're likely to see. Technically, it's a Kairu rod. a specialized Japanese trout pole, and it's about 20 feet long. The length of this rod lets him delicately drop chunks of inflated worm into the path of surface chowing buffalo. But even that doesn't make it a gimme.
Oh.
Oh.
He was right on your 6. Oh, there he is! Yeah! Oh, that's so freaking cool.
So buffalo can be caught by these guys, and they put up a whopper fight. These fish need advocates, man. Not just for those reasons, but for the simple reason that they live in these waters and always have, and they always should. You should get out there and give it a try yourself. Now, catching that one fish spooked the whole pot. So the guys turn their attention to getting some dinner. They bring in a few smallmouth and catfish, but eating those wouldn't fit the theme of this episode about alternative fish. They're after another less than respected Rodney Dangerfield type fish, red horse suckers.
This is a very good sized shorthead red horse, but being a shorthead red horse, they're probably the most abundant red horse in the river. So if you're gonna eat a red horse, eat a shorthead red horse.
Okay.
Now, I've eaten plenty of suckers throughout my life, and I can tell you, they're delicious, but annoyingly bony. Tyler's gonna show Cal and Miles a preparation that takes care of all those bones, tastes damn good, and is just fun to say, sucker balls. But I'll point out I have a better way of doing it than he does.
This is a bony fish, right? It does have like the Y bones.
Yes, they are a bony fish, which is why I'd like to run them through the meat grinder and make fish patties. Or sucker balls or fish cakes.
I was really just trying to get at sucker balls. I just wanted you to say sucker balls. So we're gonna fillet these up, dice the fillets,
Yep,
grind them,
yep,
mix them with a bunch of goodies,
yep. Not too many goodies.
make
You
them into
want-
balls,
Yep,
fry them.
yep.
Like it.
Yeah, you want that natural sucker flavor that everybody talks about.
Yep.
Yeah.
Those look kind of serious. Got a little buck on that knife.
So my fish technique is kind of a mix between gutting a big game animal and what I see on TV. Mm-hmm. They're from people from like Michigan or Minnesota.
I'd say you did pretty well there.
Yeah, just crank.
Feed this thing, maybe.
I'll dive in, man. This will be my first experience with the sucker meat.
I'm gonna do half without sauce, half with sauce. It's like a hush puppy. It holds the heat. I'd eat a lot of that.
Sucker balls, yeah.
Very good.
Oh yeah, man. I would not have guessed.
As I like to say, like as a qualifier, I'd serve them to anybody. Right? It's not reserved for a certain crowd.
Right.
Oh,
It's very good.
Yeah, that's really good.
Very, very good. Well done.
So I can't say we really cracked the code on catching all kind of bigmouth buffalo in this episode. And we don't know how long they live. We don't exactly know how or where they reproduce, and we clearly don't know how to catch a shitload of them. But we know for sure that these fish need more friends, even if those friends, especially if those friends, want to hook them in the face or shoot them with arrows. For the next and final episode of Dose Boat, Danielle Pruitt and Frank Smethurst head up to Red Lake, one of the most famous walleye fisheries in the country, except they're not going to be fishing for wally dogs. They are going after slimy bastards. Check it out. This is Das Boat.